Friendly reminder, this is definitely the scariest Japanese horror movie from 15 years ago. It is also the childhood fear for many people. The Ju-on series' 10th anniversary work, Ju-on White Old Lady, is here. Story begins. The Jib family of 6 happily moves into a new house. But what they don't know is that this house is a famous haunted house in the area. More than 10 people have already died here. As soon as Jib enters the new house, an old woman carrying a basketball suddenly passes by. He thinks an outsider has entered the house and follows her. Inside, he finds a mirror in the bedroom covered with a white cloth. It was obviously left by the previous owner. When Jib lifts the cloth, the mirror seems to have magical power, drawing Jib's hand toward it. In the next second, Jib almost gets scared out of his mind. He finally regains consciousness when his niece Mirai calls out, but the look in her eyes is complex and strange. Then she casually leaves the bedroom. Unknowingly, part of Jib's soul has already been sealed inside the mirror. A few days later, Mirai invites her friend Xiaoqian over. While the two are playing, the confused old grandmother walks into the living room carrying the basketball. Before leaving, she strangely glares at Xiaoqian. The young girl thinks the old lady doesn't welcome her and tries to leave, but Mirai stops her. She tells Xiaoqian that since moving into the new house, her uncle Jib has changed and often behaves inappropriately toward her. Since Jib has always been an honest young man, no one would believe he could harass his niece. Helpless, Mirai can only tell this secret to her friend Xiaoqian. As Xiaoqian is about to comfort Mirai, Jib suddenly appears in front of them. He had been hiding at the door, secretly listening to their conversation. Seeing that his dirty behavior might be exposed, he grabs Xiaoqian's arm and tries to drive her away. In that instant of contact, Xiaoqian, naturally sensitive to spirits, senses that there is a vengeful spirit present. But Jib doesn't give her a chance to speak the truth and pushes her out the door. Then he grabs Mirai's arm and drags her forcefully upstairs. No matter how much the niece begs, Jib remains unmoved. Desperate and helpless, Mirai keeps knocking on the window, trying to get Xiaoqian's attention, hoping she can save her. But Xiaoqian is just a student. She doesn't have the power to fight Jib. Seeing Mirai trapped, Xiaoqian can only hold back tears and leave this haunted place forever. At night, Jib's father complains that Jib didn't pass the law exam and will continue to be a useless person at home. His sister, also a freeloading type, agrees with their father. Even the young stepmother nods in agreement. Hearing his family mock him so openly, Jib's mind becomes even more twisted. At midnight, he quietly takes a baseball bat into his father's room and hits him on the head, killing him. Then he goes to his grandmother's bedroom. The old woman is happily playing cosplay. Unaware that Jib is behind her, he mercilessly strangles her neck. Next, the stepmother, slacking in the kitchen. When Jib comes in, people think he is hungry and wants to eat. As he opens the fridge to find food, Jib suddenly takes a kitchen knife and attacks. In the end, only his little sister, who always talks nonsense, is left. Jib goes to the living room, hits her on the head, and her mouth is full of blood. Then he grabs her hair, drags her into the bathtub, pours a whole bucket of gasoline on her, and finally lights a match, burning his own sister alive. After finishing the killing, Jib goes upstairs to Mirai's room. Even though the little girl has locked her door in advance, Jib breaks it open forcefully. He drags Mirai onto the bed, leans over her, takes out a saw, and randomly saws. Finally, he cuts off Mirai's head and puts it in a bag. Then he takes the bag and leaves in a taxi. At the same time, he sees a delivery guy riding an electric bike heading toward his house. Where is Jib going? Will this delivery guy also get cursed by the haunted house like him? After killing his entire family, the man goes to a remote mountain and hangs himself. After he dies, the recorder at his feet stops recording automatically. The bag next to him starts moving. Then, a thick bunch of hair crawls out, revealing the pale head of the little girl, staring straight at Jib's dead body. Meanwhile, the unaware delivery guy, Wenzai, arrives at Jib's house to deliver food. He calls outside for a long time, but nobody comes to get the food. He does not know that the whole family has already been killed. As Wenzai is about to leave, Jib's front door opens automatically. Wenzai tiptoes inside. Looking at the empty hallway, he feels a chill down his spine. At this moment, the stepmother who died in the kitchen comes back to life. The clueless Wenzai stands still, waiting. After a long time, he still sees no one taking the cake. He calls again. The stepmother appears again, acting exactly as before. This time, the sound of someone falling is heard in the kitchen. Wenzai senses something is wrong and slowly walks toward the kitchen, but inside there is nobody. Only the fridge door is still open. Then, following the sound of running water, he turns off the bathroom faucet. Just as he wonders how the woman in the kitchen disappeared, he looks up and sees a figure behind the shower curtain in the mirror. But when he turns around, the figure grows larger and then disappears instantly. Wenzai feels that this house is strange, but his curiosity gets the better of him. He bravely lifts the shower curtain and only finds burnt marks in the bathtub. While Wenzai is stunned, a girl wearing a small yellow hat suddenly passes by the door. Seeing this, Wenzai finally relaxes, thinking he has seen a living person in this house at last. He follows the girl from the first floor to the second floor, but when he opens the bedroom door, he almost dies of fright. On the bed is the headless body of a little girl. As a normal delivery guy, Wenzai has never seen anything like this. He rushes down the stairs, legs shaking, collapsing onto the floor. At this moment, the kitchen again echoes with the stepmother's mechanical voice. "I can't let go now. I'm going right away." Kind Wenzai just wanted to tell someone about the girl who was harmed, but when he ran to the kitchen door, he saw his stepmother's body lying next to the fridge. Wenzai was so scared that he was sweating all over. Now he only wanted to leave this scary house. At that moment, he heard footsteps behind him. When he turned around, he saw a very pale old woman staring at him. Wenzai got so scared that he fainted. When he woke up, he was already at the police station, muttering the words the stepmother had said before she died. "I'm going right away. I'm going right away." At that time, Wenzai did not know that he had already been cursed. When his girlfriend brought him home, he received a gift from her. It was Christmas Day, but when his girlfriend was cutting the cake with a knife, Wenzai couldn't stop thinking about the two bodies he had seen at the house. He immediately ran to the bathroom and started retching. Seeing his reaction, his girlfriend felt very sorry for him and quickly hugged him, trying to comfort him with love. But soon, Wenzai felt a cold chill coming from her body, like it was a completely different person. When he looked closely, his girlfriend had turned into that ghostly old woman. This terrifying scene made him crawl to a corner in fear, but the ghost clearly wasn't going to let him go. It ran at him holding a basketball. In that dangerous moment, Wenzai grabbed a fruit knife from the table and stabbed the ghost without hesitation. But when he realized, he found that the person he stabbed was actually his girlfriend. Wenzai could no longer tell reality from illusion. He thought he was still hallucinating, and that his girlfriend had become the ghost. So he stabbed again, killing his girlfriend completely. The next morning, a taxi driver received a notice from the company that the passenger he had yesterday might be a murder suspect. At first, the driver didn't pay attention, but then he suddenly saw the half-dead face of the murderer through the rearview mirror. The driver quickly turned, but the back seat was empty. Only a blood-stained bag was left. He opened the zipper, and inside was a human head. What made his scalp tingle even more was that the head suddenly opened its eyes, scaring the driver half to death. The next second, two pale little hands grabbed his shoulders. From that moment, the driver became cursed. Why was he cursed? Not only because he had been close to the murderer, but also because his daughter was the best friend of the deceased girl, Mirai, Xiaoqian. Mirai had always blamed Xiaoqian for leaving her alone during danger, so the curse didn't just take her father from Xiaoqian. Anyone close to her would also face revenge. 7 years passed. Xiaoqian had become an excellent high school student. One day, her enthusiastic classmates invited her to play the Spirit Plate game. Xiaoqian was embarrassed and couldn't refuse, so she agreed. As they were thinking about which spirit to summon, someone suggested summoning Xiaoqian's father, but he was quickly scolded because it might bring up Xiaoqian's old painful memories. Unexpectedly, the coins on all 3 of their fingers started moving by themselves, and they spelled out Mirai's name on the Spirit Plate paper. Then, Xiaoqian suddenly noticed a finger had appeared on the table. When she looked up, Mirai, wearing a little yellow hat, was standing beside them. Xiaoqian was so scared that cold sweat ran down her face. She never dared to stay there again. She grabbed her school bag and rushed out of the classroom, leaving Zengong and Yuja completely confused. At this time, Zengong still didn't know that because he had always supported Xiaoqian. It clearly showed that they had a very close relationship. Therefore, it was not surprising that Zengong became Mirai's next target for revenge. When Zengong went to the bathroom, Mirai followed closely behind him. If no one had entered the bathroom stall, Zengong found this very strange. After all, how could an elementary school student appear in a high school? He slowly opened the bathroom door, but inside there was no one. Zengong sighed in relief. Just when he thought he had imagined it, an old woman holding a basketball suddenly ran toward him. At the same time, Xiaoqian had returned home. After paying respects to her father, Mirai suddenly appeared in her house, standing in the corner with her back to Xiaoqian. This was the first time in 7 years that Mirai appeared so real in front of her. Xiaoqian couldn't hold back her tears and cried loudly. Over all these years, Xiaoqian had felt guilty for not helping Mirai back then. After feeling her friend's apology, Mirai finally decided not to bother Xiaoqian anymore. She also knew in her heart that even if Xiaoqian, who was still a child at that time, had tried to help, it wouldn't have made any difference. Thus, Xiaoqian became the only person caught in the curse who was not killed. Meanwhile, police officer Anchuan, while investigating Zengong's death, accidentally discovered that there were many similar cases. All these cases, without exception, were somehow connected to the Jibu family. Later, while looking through records, Anchuan found a tape. When he played it on a recorder, he could hear Jibu's voice on it. The alarmed old officer rushed over, stopping Anchuan's reckless actions, took the tape, threw it on the ground, and crushed it with his foot. He then told Anchuan that this tape was recorded by Jibu after he had killed his family. Anyone who touched the tape would face various misfortunes. This naturally included the old officer himself. To prevent more people from suffering, he had thrown the tape into the remote mountains, but he never expected that the tape would somehow return to the police station. This strange situation amazed the old officer. He decided to destroy the tape again and warned Anchuan never to touch the case again. But Anchuan seemed possessed. Ignoring his senior's warning, he went to the archive room to check the records. At that moment, he suddenly noticed something strange on the desk. When he moved the papers aside, the same tape had appeared in front of him again. Even more unbelievable. This time, the tape could spin and make sounds on its own, without any recorder. Clearly, the curse of Ju-on was still continuing. Alright, today's story ends here. See you in the next episode.